Let's set the stage, shall we? They saw you as the fool, a mere pawn in a game they thought they controlled. They mocked your naivety. They laughed at your sincerity. It was all so simple for them, until it wasn't. Because here's the thing, they don't understand what it's like to be underestimated. Oh no, they've never experienced it. You were the joke, the plaything, the easy target. They threw their punches and you took them. But every bruise, every wound, oh, it all started adding up, didn't it? Slowly they began to feel the weight of their own ignorance. And that, my dear friend, is where the transformation began. When they pushed you, they didn't know you had something they didn't. Patience. Not the kind of patience that tolerates abuse, no. It was the kind of patience that lies in wait, the kind that watches from the shadows, the kind that feeds on the darkness of their arrogance. And while they were basking in their little victories, you were preparing. You were sharpening your senses, watching, calculating, waiting for the right moment. You let their mockery bounce off you. You let them enjoy their fleeting moments of superiority. Because every time they pushed, they made you stronger, more prepared for the day you would strike back. But you didn't strike immediately. That would be too predictable, wouldn't it? Nah, you bided your time. You allowed them to believe they had the upper hand, thinking that they had won. Their victory was an illusion. They believed they controlled the game, but what they didn't know was that the game had already shifted. You weren't the pawn anymore. You had become something far more dangerous. The fool doesn't lash out immediately. No, that would be too easy. The fool lets the storm build inside them until it's a hurricane waiting to devour. They think you're weak. They think you're stupid. They think you'll stay the same. But what they don't know is that the fool is always the one who learns the most. And when the fool learns, they become unstoppable. They never forget, never forgive. They wait. And then when the time is right, when their enemies are at their most vulnerable, they strike. What they didn't realize was that each time they dismissed you, each time they mocked you, they were feeding the beast inside you. That beast wasn't anger, oh no, it wasn't blind rage. It was something far more dangerous. It was the executioner's cold, methodical patience. The world has always underestimated the fool. People like you have been scorned, laughed at, pushed aside. But what they don't understand is that underestimating the fool is the biggest mistake anyone can make. You see, the fool is always underestimated because they don't play by the rules. They aren't in a rush. They don't make moves based on emotion. They move with a purpose that others can't even begin to understand. They've become so consumed with their own arrogance, they never saw the trap closing in around them. They thought they could break you, bend you to their will. But what they didn't realize is that you were only getting stronger in the shadows. And now, when the moment comes for you to rise, it will be swift, unstoppable. They won't even know what hit them. When the fool becomes the executioner, it's never a messy, chaotic thing. Nah, it's clean, it's silent, and it's absolute. They won't even have time to react. They'll be so blinded by their own hubris that they won't see their downfall until it's too late. They thought they had you figured out, didn't they? They thought they had all the power. But now, they'll learn the hard way that they've underestimated you. They'll realize that the fool they so easily discarded is the one they should have feared the most. But here's the thing. You're not interested in vengeance. Nah, that would be far too simple. You're not here for petty revenge. What you want is something far more poetic, far more devastating. You're going to make them regret their very existence. You're going to break them in a way they can't even comprehend. And when they look at you, when they finally realize who you've become, they'll understand. They'll see that the fool they manipulated is no longer a fool. They'll see that the fool has become the executioner. Because when the fool becomes the executioner, they don't just end the game, they redefine it. They erase their enemies from the very fabric of existence. The fool becomes a force of nature, a force they can't stop, a force they should have feared. It's beautiful, isn't it? Watching them squirm, watching them realize that the tables have turned. They thought they could control you, manipulate you, throw you aside like an object. But now, it's their turn. Now, they are the ones who are going to be discarded. And you, the fool, you will stand tall, the executioner with the final say. You will smile as their worlds crumble around them, knowing that it was you who orchestrated their downfall all along. They played you like a fool, but the fool, the one they mocked, the one they thought could never rise, has become their executioner. They thought they had the advantage. They thought they could control the situation, move you like a chess piece, bend your will to fit into their little game. But the game was never theirs to control. Oh no, it was always yours. They just couldn't see it. The moment they mistook you for a fool was the moment they sealed their fate. They underestimated you because they couldn't comprehend a mind like yours. They couldn't understand what it was like to play the long game, to look beyond the immediate victory and see the destruction that's quietly bubbling underneath the surface. Now, as they sit in their illusion of control, you're just standing there, watching them. You're watching as they think they've won, that they've beaten you, that they have you right where they want you. But they don't know the truth. They don't know that they've been nothing but pawns in your grand design. And with every word they throw at you, every action they take to undermine you, they're digging their own grave deeper. The more they push, the more they expose their vulnerabilities. They think their cruelty is something you can't survive, something that will break you. But they've miscalculated again. Here's where it gets interesting. The cruelty they've used to manipulate and hurt you, it's become their greatest downfall. See, cruelty can only win when it meets something weaker than itself. But you're not weak. You're not fragile. Your ability to endure their attacks, to withstand their every move, has turned you into something that is not just a survivor, but a creator of their destruction. The more they press, the more they expose their own insecurities. The more they pull at the strings of their deception, the tighter the noose becomes. Let them push. Let them think they still hold power. Let them delude themselves with their fleeting victories. They are only digging their own grave. Because when the fool becomes the executioner, there is no escape. There is no place to run. There is no safety in their manipulation. They will come to understand too late that they were never in control of you. They were simply helping you become the storm that will wash them away. The executioner's smile is not born of anger, nor is it born of malice. Nah, it's born of something much more dangerous, understanding. It's born of the quiet knowledge that all of their cruelty, all of their games, will come to an end. They thought they could break you. They thought they could manipulate you into submission. They thought they could make you question your worth, break your spirit. But you're not just any fool. You're the fool who learned. You're the fool who understood that their cruelty was not a weapon to break you, but a catalyst to make you stronger. Each time they thought they had you cornered, you simply bided your time. Each time they laughed at your pain, mocked your struggle, you grew. You grew not in spite of their cruelty, but because of it. And now that you're ready, now that you've become the executioner, there's no turning back. They didn't see you coming. They thought they could play their games, push their boundaries, and break you. But all they've done is set the stage for their own undoing. The fool who takes their blows with silent endurance is the fool who knows that in the end, nothing lasts forever, especially not their petty cruelty. It's almost laughable now, isn't it? The way they thought they had power over you, the way they believed they could control your life, your happiness, your destiny. But now, they will see. They will see that they were only pawns in a game they couldn't even begin to comprehend. They had no idea that you were quietly gathering strength, that while they were focused on breaking you, you were busy becoming something they could never destroy. Now, as the executioner, you will not just strike back. Nah, you will do more than that. You will rise, and you will make them watch. You will make them witness the destruction they've brought upon themselves. When the fool becomes the executioner, there is no need for explanation. The action speaks louder than any words ever could. There is no negotiation, no compromise. There is only the final act of retribution. They will look at you, and for the first time, they will realize their mistake. For the first time, they will understand that you were never the fool. You were the one who patiently waited for the moment when the storm would arrive, and now that it has, it will drown them. And the best part? They'll never know what hit them. Their minds are too clouded by their own arrogance, their own self-righteousness, to see what you've been doing all along. They thought they were winning, but the real victory was always yours. The real triumph was in knowing that you could endure, that you could rise, and that they would never, ever be able to stop you. You are no longer the fool they once played. You are the executioner. And as the executioner, you don't need to say a word. The silence of your rise will be their most painful downfall. They will regret their every action, every word they threw your way, every time they laughed at your expense. But by then, it won't matter, because the game will be over. The fool has become the executioner, and now their fate is sealed.